Welcome to another episode of our CGI Experience podcasts. I'm Cheryl Allebrand, and last we spoke, we explored why it's time to consider conversational AI. So feel free to go back and listen to that one later if you missed it. Today, though, we're going to kick off a new series of sorts, all around the foundations of a great bot. In this episode, we'll be talking about elements of great bot design, and I'm really happy to be joined by my colleague, Chidi Akurunwa, a talented designer with a background in natural language processing and data science. Chidi, welcome, and would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. Chidi Akurunwa, just as you said, yeah, background in NLP data science with a strong focus in conversation design, and I'm really passionate about, using conversational AI technology to, find solutions that work for businesses and their customers. And I believe that the key way to doing that is to have a design-led approach in the way we do things, and I think that's one of the things we'll be talking about today. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the elements of great bot design. And as you know, and I think alluded to, design just seems to be one of the most overlooked parts of conversational AI. Why,
Absolutely.
why do you think that is?
Well, when you think about it, right, this is something we do a lot in technology. So let's go back to when websites came out, right? So everyone was excited about websites. You could go on there, connect with, people and all sorts, and then people just started building them and forgot about the actual user experience. And so when they started to see people, use a website for the first time and then not come back to it again, they started to rethink the whole process, and UX design became a thing. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, we're making the same mistake with conversational AI, where we're not actually considering the experience. We're just, oh, we got this cool technology, natural language processing has come so far, and we want to just go straight into it and start building without actually thinking about how that user experience feels. And so I think
Yeah,
we're not learning from our mistakes.
it is part of that learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of, okay, we run at things very technology driven. I don't know if it's because it's the people who are building the tech who start playing
Mm,
with it
mm,
first. I don't
yeah.
know, but like you said, design's important. Tell me why design can help solve things.
Well, I think, again, we're talking about sort of conversation design specifically, right?
Hmm.
And when you think about it, we're talking about websites earlier with graphical user interfaces, whether that's a mobile application or a website. There's a finite number of ways to get to an icon or an application on your mobile phone, for example, right? Let's say you want to get to the calculator on your phone. You could probably do like about 8 swipes or 6 swipes, whatever the case may be. But a conversation has so many routes to that destination that the user wants to go to. And so I tend to think of conversation as almost like a map, right? And when you have a map, you have like different ways to get to your destination, and you can't do that without actually thinking about design, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why it's really important, because at the end of the day, you could have this great technology, but you could still have this terrible experience because you never thought about the actual conversation aspect of things. Even though, human beings, we everybody can sort of converse and speak, right? And so we don't think that it should be designed, but then you could build, really bad experiences even with good technology. So
Yeah, that's my my favorite thing to tell everyone because it's true. It is so true. Yeah,
absolutely.
you were likening it to a map, but isn't it a bit trickier because it's an invisible map? When
Oh
we
wow,
were,
yeah,
when we were on websites playing around and trying new ways to build them and trying to get people where they
yeah,
needed to go or get them
yeah,
the information they needed, they
yeah,
had that visual component, and that's often
absolutely,
taken away, isn't it? So,
yeah.
how do you help signpost it if it's a map? How do you help signpost things with design if it's invisible
Yeah,
in
no,
conversation?
that's a very, very good analogy that you've sort of, phrase you've put around it. It's really an invisible map, and I mean, there's different ways to be able to signpost the user. But I think that the one of the most simple things that I always think about is to remember that you need to make clear indications to the user when it's their turn to speak, for example, right? We call this turn taken, where
Hmm.
you make it very, very clear to the user that it's their turn to move the conversation forward. And just simply having that in the back of your mind when you're designing these conversations, you know, makes it easy for the user to move the conversation forward. You don't want to have your user sort of trying to guess what they need to say next because of how you've presented information to them. So, being able to be clear and concise and not be, not have ambiguity in what you're saying to the user, really helps them sort of guide them along that conversation. And I always refer to conversation design as a, or conversational AI as a carefully curated path, conversation path. So that's why I think some of the things we have to do.
So, what about when people go off path? What do you
Mm.
do to help get them back on that journey?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's something that we think about a lot in the conversation design community. And there's this thing called reprompts or repair paths, whichever name you want to use, and that's essentially being able to simply guide the user back to that point in the conversation. So, for example, if and again, also making sure that when you're doing that, you're setting the expectations or providing more information about what it is the bot can or can't do, and so the user is less likely to go down that path again. Right. So, for example, if a user goes off topic, one of the things you can do is to kind of provide more information about what it is that you can't or can't do, and so that the user can, and then of course offer that reprompt and in a very natural, intuitive way as to what you were actually talking about before, and that way the user can kind of come back into the conversation and be able to express themselves moving forward. So it's things like that allow, again, this is all about guiding the user, but giving them that sort of illusion of something that's very intuitive and very user centric.
Make them think it's their idea, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You got to make them feel in control. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what makes it a great experience.
It is the understanding bit that does allow them to be in control, though, to a
Mm.
degree, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why NLU is a huge part of conversational AI. By NLU, I mean natural language understanding, right? You want to be able to, harness the technology in the best possible way. Yeah.
I'm going to actually talk to one of our colleagues about that soon. We're going to talk about the tech end of things, although I know both you and I love to talk about that
Oh,
as well.
absolutely. This is fun.
Let's keep this on design, though. How about leaving people with a design hack?
Yeah, I love design hacks because I'm a practical person, right? And this is something we talk about quite a lot in our team. So I'll just say one that we use commonly within our team, and that's the three E's, right? The three E's, and that's basically design for ease, enjoyability, and efficiency. And what that simply means is, let's start with the first one, right? So for ease, right, make whatever you say to the user concise, clear, and simple. Don't use unnecessary jargon when you're talking to the user, because at the end of the day, it's conversational AI. You want to make it as conversational as possible and easy for the user to understand what you're requesting them to do, right? So that's that ease aspect of things. And then for enjoyability, one of the things that people don't realize is at the end of the day, you can create this amazing bot, and if it's not an enjoyable experience for the user, they may not speak to it after that first time. So thinking about a way you could personalize that experience, thinking about a way you could make that experience intuitive, thinking about different types of users. Some users want information very quickly, and some users, don't mind sort of taking things step by step. So think about those when you're designing, so it's a much more enjoyable experience for the user.
Like
And the last,
sorry, making it able to hop around, basically.
absolutely, exactly, because some users will over answer when you
Mm.
ask them a question. They'll give you more information that you're asking for, so you need to be able to deal with that. And some users will take it one step at a time. So again, like we've been saying, it's a map, right? And some people want to go there with the sort of slow route, and some of us want to take the quicker route. So that's what makes it an enjoyable experience. And the last E is efficiency, right? At the end of the day, we always talk about this. It's about outcomes, right?
Yeah,
It's about actually creating an outcome for the user that solves their problem, right? And efficiency is about doing that in the most elegant way possible and the quickest way possible. And I think if you think about these different elements of ease and enjoyability and efficiency, you're on your way to designing a great bot.
that sounds like a good, good tip to leave people with. Thank
Yeah,
you very much for joining me
abs-
today, Chidi.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And yeah, thanks. And thank you for all of the people who've tuned in to listen. We will be running more of these over the coming weeks and months. So please do join us again as they come through. And we look forward to seeing you again in a future episode.